is Mike Merlin means Talking Shit with Merlin, Merlin Public Media, and tonight we have that's your cue.
Robin Apclericus, all the
Uh,
way from Scotland.
how's it going, Robin?
All right, how's things?
Well, not too shabby. It's still a little chilly. We're only in the mid to upper 90s.
That's very hot for me.
Yes, it would be.
That's very. We're sort of in 19. What's that? About the 60s at the most.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
So that's enough for me. I like it like that. You know?
we should be in the 100 teens right now, but
Oh wow, that's far too much. No,
the, the gods have
that,
seemed to bless us who've had such a mild year.
well, it's been lovely here. Actually, the last week, and I'm going away up to the north of Scotland next week, kayaking and doing a bit of sightseeing and stuff. So I've got a week off work, and I'm just going up there, and the weather forecast is fabulous for next week.
What's fabulous to you?
Well, same as it is now.
Okay, yeah.
about 60 odd.
Yeah, it's different living in a desert. It really, really is.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I've been here 26 years, I guess, thereabouts.
Yeah, I'm a cold weather person myself. You know, I sort of really melt in the heat.
Uh, my comfort range is usually between 95 and 105.
Oh wow, that's no, I'd be very, very angry.
I'm sure. Well, and most people, you gotta kind of either want to live here or get stuck here. I know a lot of people that have got stuck here and can't get away. The
Yeah.
economy being shit. But
Yeah, I mean it's the same over here. The economy's crap over here, and and people. I mean that's what it is. I mean I got stuck on the east coast of Scotland. I ended up here, and I've been here so the last sort of 20 plus years.
that's
Yeah, I mean,
stuck.
before that, but yeah, before that, I was sort of over on the more of the west coast, and I prefer the west coast. But sort of jobs and the way things worked out, I just sort of ended up over this side.
So what's better about the West?
I just like the it's not the weather.
Okay.
Right. I just like it more. I'm sort of because I'm from Wales originally, and that's over on the west of the UK.
Uh-huh.
So it's that side, and I do find it the people different. There's like a more of a the more sort of laid back the people.
Okay.
Yeah, and of course you've got that ocean in front of you. Then I mean, this side you're sort of facing mainland Europe, on the other side you're facing across the Atlantic.
Well, I'm in the middle of a desert in the second hottest city in the country.
Wow, what's the hottest one then?
Lake Havasu City. On average, it's like over the course of the year, it averages like 3 degrees hotter. So the difference is
Wow, okay.
kind of minuscule, but
Right.
I mean,
So
yeah,
so how cold does it get where you are?
um, I saw snow once
Once. So,
in 26 years.
right, okay. Yeah.
We consider 60 to be cold.
Right, okay. So do you go down to freezing?
Twice since I've been here. The water in the
Right,
darkness
okay.
froze. But that was a
All right.
complete
We
freak storm.
all right, yeah. We go down into the minuses at winter time all the time. So
Yeah,
-5 and is quite common.
back where I grew up,
So,
back in Ohio, there that was 4 seasons, and the feet of snow in the winter, and back before I moved here, I thought
yeah.
like 92 was more than any human being could handle. I mean, now I'm outside working.
Yeah.
We're working in 103, 104, 105, no big
Oh,
deal.
see, I couldn't do that. I remember a few years back when it would got up into the 90s. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was standing in the living room with my arms spread out,
Uh,
no clothes on, just
uh-huh.
moaning.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's what you designed. I mean, I really am because I'm quite a big bloke. I'm like just over 6 foot,
Uh-huh.
and sort of I'm quite sort of heavily built,
Uh-huh.
and I think that I'm just well insulated.
Yeah, that you sound a bit like Remo, John.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
he's
right.
like he was utterly complaining this morning that it was going to be like 92 or something.
All right.
And I'm like, okay, but the thing here is, well, where I grew up, nature just kind of happened. And
Yeah.
you got your rain and rivers and all that. And here, I mean, for nature to want to live here, it's working.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah. It is. Yeah.
and it,
It always amazes me that nature, like you can find the most extreme environment, and something will be living there.
yeah, yeah. We've got,
And I,
a lot of, well, we have leftover burrows from the mining days, and they actually adapted to the desert and they now live out here. Which, I
wow.
mean, these
Okay.
are not small animals. These are 300, 400
Mm.
power, 100-pound like donkeys, burros. They're huge, but they make it.
Yeah, 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 they are. Wow, wow.
But
I suppose historically they are quite, because they're sort of North African, Middle Eastern sort of
yeah,
origins, aren't
yeah,
they?
they're not from here. But
So,
still, I mean, and the
s-
plants that grow out there, I mean, I think I've seen rain twice, maybe three times this year.
right, okay. This,
It it doesn't rain.
I, I mean, we had, well, I have rain most weeks. Most weeks it's rain at some point,
Yeah.
you know. And the place I grew up in Wales, I lived in what they call a rain shadow.
Okay.
So basically, the clouds came in off the ocean, yeah, hit the
Okay.
hills in Wales, and I was just on the other side of the hills. So what happened? The clouds hit the hills, and it pushed them up into the atmosphere,
Uh-huh.
and then they condensed, and so we were in the rain shadow, and that meant we just got. And sometimes it would rain for about 2 weeks. If it wasn't belting down with rain, it was this fine mist that was just coming down.
Oh,
Yeah, so it was like, and it could last weeks.
no. Yeah.
But saying that, I mean, you step back and look at it, and everything is so green, so amazingly bright green, you know. And that's the sort of the upside of it, all this lush, really lush green vegetation,
Well, and I'm going to take a point to that because I grew up in Ohio, which is a lot of green, a lot of rain, a lot of cooler temperatures and all that. But when I go back there, I am overwhelmed by all the green.
yeah, yeah.
It's too much.
See, even well, I don't find it too much. I find it, but it still wows me now because I come up to Scotland now. Scotland's climate is slightly different to the rain shadow that I grew up in. Yeah, so Scotland's quite. Um, I would say a lot of the land, especially on this side, isn't as fertile as it down in Wales. And so even when you go down from Scotland back to Wales, and you're heading into Wales, and then all of a sudden the green hits you, and it is a wow factor, really is.
Well, and everything once you get outside of the cities, everything here is kind of sparsely plants. There's not much. There's an occasional mesquite tree or a couple other shrub bushes, and but this year, now I'll give an exception to this. The desert around us got pounded with rain.
Right.
And the whole thing was a bloom. I mean, just
Right.
everything.
Erupted.
And,
Yeah.
I live in a bowl. I'm surrounded by mountains, and there's a city. There's probably 40 couple thousand here.
Yeah.
But all the buildings and the roads and rooftops and all of this stuff, they hold heat.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And then they give it off and heat rises, goes straight up.
Yeah.
So weather patterns will come around and hit that, and literally we can watch them go around us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
just
Oh,
like
yeah. Yeah. I can imagine that. Yeah.
everybody else has got it, but like, my friend Neil's, we got rain. I'm like, oh, shut up. You know,
So historically, how long has it always been a desert in that area?
well, for most of the last, couple million years, yeah.
Right.
We were an
So
ocean once.
yeah. All right. Right. So did you have sort of indigenous people living in that area?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
okay, so here's what went down with a lot of that. The Colorado River comes through here. Okay.
Right. Okay.
In the early days, um, the banks were covered in trees and lush
Hmm.
growth and all. Okay. The steamboats come through, cut it all down.
Oh, for fuel.
Yep, rechange, put in dams, redirected the flow of the river. And I mean, along the river was supposed to be this absolute paradise. And then when you got out
Hmm.
half mile or so, then it was desert. But yeah, we've got at least tribes that I'm personally familiar with that are from here.
Right. Okay. So a bit like Egypt, really, where all the sort of civilization was very close to the Nile.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, you've read some of my stuff. My wife and I are both activists.
Yeah.
There's a place. Oh, it's probably 20-ish miles straight line from the river. It's a very sacred spot for all of the local tribes. And they tried to put a nuclear waste dump in that thing.
Oh, never.
We fought that fucker, excuse my
Oh,
language, and won.
wow. That is
25,
terrible.
25 years ago, we won that battle.
Yeah. So was that the sort of county or the government's plan to put it through?
The government said to this company, and I can't remember the name, go in here, here's some land, you can use it. And what they were doing was they were just taking bulldozers and digging like 8-foot trenches and putting the waste in there and then covering it with dirt and walking away. And we're like, no, 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 no way. Took us
Wow,
11 years to beat that thing.
that
But,
is terrible.
but we
That is
won.
absolutely awful.
Yeah, we won finally. And it's just, and the thing that they did, and there was a bunch of hippies, activists, and tribal members, and there was only one rule: the elders are correct. Period.
Yeah.
And they're basically matriarchal, like almost all older societies.
Yeah. Yeah.
The patriarchal societies are gonna be the death of the planet.
Oh yeah, I agree totally, totally. There's one matriarchal society still in Tibet, and how it goes is all the wealth goes through the female lines.
Okay.
Yeah, and someone, I think it was one Westerner, had gone off and asked him about policing and crime. Yeah, and they worked out from what this guy was saying they hadn't had a crime for 500 years.
I want to live there.
Yeah, yeah, and basically because they've got nothing to fight over.
Yeah.
And they have a very different idea of sort of property as well.
Okay.
So it's like you don't really own everything; it just belongs to everyone.
Okay.
So if you've got a hammer, it's not your hammer, it's everyone's hammer.
Right.
So if someone needs to use it, they'll just come and take it and use
Right.
it.
Sure.
Yeah. And then if you need it, you go and get it
Go back
back,
and get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. It's the tribes here in the area are I'm fascinated by a lot of the things that they do, and I lost my point entirely. This is what happens when you don't have good airflow. Um I don't know where I was going. It's okay. I do this. I'm getting my new breathing device here at the end of this month, and I should be good.
Right. Good. That's good news. Yeah.
Well,
Uh,
and I never hear anything great about the health system over there either. So me waiting three and a
Well,
half months for this is like,
well, tell the truth. I mean, it's Scotland is quite good. I mean, the people complain, but people will complain about anything,
well, that's true too.
you know, and it seems like the ones that do jump on it are the ones that are the anomalies. So the ones that have been sort of waiting for a long time, but in the majority of people are getting seen and getting treated,
Well,
quite quickly.
I get seen and I get treated, and I just have to wait for the insurance company to approve this device. It's
Yeah,
a CPAP device.
yeah, wait, yeah. We don't have that sort of insurance problem, like, because it's NHS. So
Yeah,
yeah, which is
but
so they've got to approve it to make sure it's the right. Why have they got to? Oh, right. So
they got to make sure that all my tests say that I really do need this.
right, okay.
And is there any other options that are, less expensive? And the
Oh,
bottom
wow.
line for all of that was no.
Wow.
So
So the insurance companies will actually quiz it to see if there's a cheaper option.
yes,
Wow, that is absurd.
um, I went through that with my last breathing med. The doctor wrote one script, and the insurance company said, just no, just no. So he wrote another one, and they got back in touch with him, and they said, try something else first. And
What?
if that doesn't work good enough, we'll give him the other drug.
That's terrible. That is terrible. That is just awful. Or I mean, that's just money grabbing, isn't it? Really?
Well,
When
yes,
it comes
that's
back to
the whole insurance business is money grabbing, which is why,
yeah,
we some of us are trying to get, single payer, kill the insurance companies, set up one gigantic program, kind of similar to maybe NHS, but that covers everybody and everything, and just get this shit done.
yeah,
You need to
yeah,
see a doctor, you go see a doctor. You need to
yeah.
see a specialist, you just, go. For most insurance companies here, I was having gallbladder pain. They figured out what it was. But the insurance company had to approve me going to the surgeon to schedule the
Wow,
surgery, and then had to approve the surgery.
God, that's just awful.
From diagnosis to meeting the doctor to the surgery was 3 weeks. And I don't know if you ever had gallbladder pain,
No, I haven't.
but
Thank
I've had
goodness.
female friends tell me they'd rather give birth.
Mm, yeah, yeah, I know. My mother had gallbladder problems. In fact, she had over 100 gallstones.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah, yeah. So she had those removed at one time, but she was in a lot of pain with it.
They just went in and took mine out, and the doctor's like, okay, look, you're gonna have to start eating differently. I'm like, okay. Cut down on red meat. I'm like, I don't eat it.
Yeah, yeah,
Cut down on fatty foods and cut down on junk and cut down on. I'm like, look, we make tea at home. That's my soft drinks. We don't do soft drinks. We have chicken and turkey occasionally. Other than that, no meat. And, we garden and we eat a lot of salads and fruits and vegetables. And he's like, never mind, just do what you're doing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But like
Yeah,
we got,
they just presume though, I suppose, at times, you know.
well,
I had a lovely letter through to from the weight clinic at the hospital in the town down the road. Yeah. And I
yeah,
said I was having trouble with my liver. Yeah, it was struggling a bit. Nothing drastic. I just needed to lose some weight.
okay,
Yeah. And so I said, all right, fair enough, I can do that. So I've lost 3 stone,
okay.
and
What's that in pounds?
well, you're talking 14 pounds is a stone.
Oh, you lost a chunk of weight
Yeah, yeah. But
then.
I lost 14 pounds then in the first month. And I said, I can do this. It's not a problem with me. I'll just
Uh-huh.
cut this out, cut that out, cut
Right.
that out. But they just assume that you're eating crap.
And
If you've got some weight there, they just assume that and it's like, no, it's all right. I can cope with this. I can do that. I'm not eating fried Mars bars or anything.
and I've got a lot of friends that they'll go to restaurants some 3 meals a day, or 4 or 5 times a week, and we don't go out to eat, we cook.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so I haven't been out to eat for. Well, I just don't. It's just very, very rare that
Yeah.
we'll sort of go out. You know. In fact, I prefer to eat at home than going
Oh
out.
yes.
I've never actually liked going out for meals
Uh-huh.
because I mean I can't think of anything more sort of weird than sort of going and sitting in a room with a load of people that eat. All right, you've got your own table, but you're still in a room full of people you don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. And I cooked in restaurants for years and years and years, and
Oh, did you?
yep. Yeah.
All right, okay.
And so I'm a pretty good cook. Juanita is a wonderful cook. So we cook. It's just,
Uh,
first, it saves a ton of money, and second, you know exactly what's in your food.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's all this processed crap
Yeah, I can't
is the
stand it.
problem, you know?
Yep.
Right. I've got a question for you. So when you're in the kitchen,
Yes.
right, do you have to be by yourself in the kitchen or do you don't mind company?
Um, I usually prefer to be by myself,
Yeah, yeah,
but
I can't have anyone if I'm cooking, can't have anyone in the kitchen at all.
when, when
It drives me insane.
on the rare occasions we have, a number of people over to the house, then Juanita and I will be in the kitchen at the same time, or we'll step in and out. But um, you know, I don't want to think about turning around with a knife in my hand and cutting somebody, and I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, I know. It's just I think it's being focused.
Yeah,
Because when I'm cooking, I like to you give it you focused on that,
yeah,
and I think I think I just don't want the distractions. Yeah, so
A-
it's
and it's I enjoy it. I mean, I enjoy cooking, and I really come to like experimenting.
yeah,
What happens if I put, if I'm going to put this and this together, and am I going to get something good? And 9 out of 10 times you get something wonderful, but that one
yeah.
time that it's bad, it's so bad
Well,
that the chickens won't even eat it. And that's bad. That's a whole new
yeah,
level of bad, because they'll
yeah,
eat
true
anything.
enough. Yeah.
Oh, are you rural or are you city?
Oh, where I'm right out in the countryside. This is. Hang on.
Okay.
This is my view out the window. Can you see that?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I
That's
got
just because our nearest neighbour is well quite close really. I've got a castle over there that's a neighbour,
okay.
and so this is the gatehouse to the castle,
Okay.
So you could stand outside and shout, and no one's going to hear you. I've got the woods there up the back.
Uh-huh.
That goes into a piece of woodland. So I just go walk up into the woods and stuff like that. But I've never lived in the city. I've never lived. I really don't do well in cities. I used to work in London. I used to work out Wales all week, stay in guest houses. I worked in the building trade for a while
Mhm.
when I was a young man. I worked all around the south of England and London. Yeah, but I couldn't stay there permanently. It just used to so distracting. It's that sort of massive claustrophobic feel to it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
and
just because
people impose. I think my aura must be quite. Because I was sort of because I was raised in the country. You sort
yeah,
of have your personal. I mean, it happens. Your personal space is bigger if you're in
yeah,
the country. You know, and you go to a town and people's personal space is a lot less.
much.
And I don't like them crowding in on me. I really
Uh-huh.
don't. And actually, physical touching when you get on the tube in London, when people are actually
Yeah.
physically touching each other, no, 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 no. I don't like it. So I've always been countryside. Always lived
I
in the
s-
wilds.
I grew up in out in the country. I've lived in Chicago for a little while, had to leave. Lived in Nashville for a little while, had to leave. This is a small town, but granted, I've got like house to the left of me, house to the right, house across the street.
Yeah.
You know, down the hill short behind me is a few, but um, we kind of stick to ourselves for the most part, really. I mean,
Hmm.
you know, Juanita's here, the chickens are here, the gardens are here. We leave to shop when we have to.
Yeah. Yeah.
I live stream a Unity church service every Sunday morning. And they're, I don't know if you're familiar with Unity or Unitarian.
I've heard, but I don't know
Okay.
much about it. To tell the truth.
It's basically all gods are one God.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And some of them tend to go a little wishy-washy new age.
Yeah. 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 I can see that.
I mean,
Yes.
um, what's the term? Toxic positivity.
All right. Okay.
Everything is perfect. You just don't know it.
Yeah.
No, it isn't. No, everything is not perfect. Shit needs fixed.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but
What
they're
is it?
really,
Yeah. It's like reaching nirvana and just in your own self and ignoring everything, all the shite that's going around around you.
yeah, if you can do that, because I can't ignore it. I mean,
No, no. I think it's you're only fooling yourself if you do ignore it. Tell
yeah,
the truth.
yeah. And it's just, okay. But I mean, it's a gig and I can do it, and I only have to be out of the house about 3.5 hours and rush back and get on my oxygen. And but it's something to do and gets me out of the house
Yeah.
once a
Yeah.
week. And I'm not. I was never a homebody till I met Juanita, and she asked me over the first many years that we were together. We stay at home all the time. Does that bother you? And it really doesn't.
No, it doesn't
That
bother me. When I was younger, I was out and about,
yes.
and if I was in the house by myself, I would get on my own nerves. It's because I was lively. Yeah, I would say. So yeah, when I was younger, I was always sort of moving on.
Uh-huh.
My brain was always rolling on to the next thing. So it
Uh-huh.
was after stimulation, just mental
Yeah.
stimulation all the time. So my own company did used to drive me mad because I just used to go around
Just
in circles, in my mind and stuff. So, but yeah, now I can just it's just and the few times that I'm actually here in the house by myself, and there's nothing, there's no TV on, no radio on, and all you've got is the sound of nature outside,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just lovely. I just, just sit and just be.
Yeah.
Yeah, not particularly doing anything, just sit and sort of, just soak it all up.
The back of our property is all fenced in, and we have chickens,
Yeah,
and so they have the run of the yard. And we go out, we feed them a bit in the morning, and then they chicken around and look for bugs and stuff, and then a little bit in the afternoon, and then right before bed. But in the morning and the evening, the other birds come looking for what the chickens missed.
yeah,
And the morning and evening, the backyard is just filled with bird song, and it is so relaxing.
yeah, yeah. I can see at the moment we're getting on for midsummer here.
Mm-hmm.
So the bird song is starting about 3:30 in the morning.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, the dogs are waking up so I mean, basically the sunrise in midsummer here is like 4:20 in the morning,
Okay.
and it doesn't really get dark. So you'll only have it'll get dark about 3 in the morning. So you've got like an hour and a half where it sort of just goes dark for a little bit and then comes back light again. Yeah. So, but you have this bird song, and so the dogs are getting me up about 4 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, because it's light.
Yeah.
And so I just take them out then, and all the birds are singing at
All
that
right.
time in the morning. And I've been meaning to take my phone out. I mean, it's been so loud the last sort of a few days when I've been out. I've been meaning to take my phone out and just hold it up and record the bird
Yeah.
song because
Yeah.
it's absolutely incredible.
I
The sound is, and the other day was even more amazing. I had the birds singing, but the sun had come out and hit this one tree, and because the light was on the tree and the sun had warmed the tree, the whole tree was buzzing, and it was just this drone of insects.
oh.
Yeah, and it just this massive, but it sounded like a hornet's nest.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, it wasn't, but it was just. I mean, the tree's probably about 400 or 500 years old, massive tree, massive old beech tree, and it was just buzzing with all these insects.
Yeah,
Absolutely amazing sound.
we have to, being in a desert, we have to plant flowers to draw the bees to pollinate our vegetables. So we literally
Right.
have
Okay. Okay.
we have to draw the bees here, because why in
Right.
their right mind would they be out in the desert? There's some native
Yeah.
bees, but we plant things just to get the
Does
bees.
anyone keep bees out there, or is there just not enough
Um,
veg?
about There's
Just
a beekeeper about 25, 30 miles from here, but for the most part,
right.
no. You'd have to have some really, really deep shade for them in the summer
Yeah.
for the
I
hives.
suppose you've got sort of solitary bees more than the sort of hive bees.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the native bees are solitary, and we have a lot of carpenter bees. I call them dumb bees. They're inch and a half, maybe half-inch thick, fuzzy looking things, and they're just completely myopic. I mean, they
Uh,
will fly up to what they do is they'll dig a hole in something, usually wood, and then they'll put in eggs, and then a leaf, stuff it with a leaf, and just fill this tube up. So they're
all right.
always
Okay.
looking for easy holes.
All
So
right. Okay.
they'll come up to you, and they'll check out your nose. Oh no, that moved. And then they'll come back, in a half a minute and start checking out your eye. No, not that, but they're really cool,
Right.
but they're very slow, and they
Are they
don't.
are they like are they like bumblebees? What we call bumblebees?
No, they're much fatter than a bumblebee.
Well,
They're
bumble.
thick. Well,
All
here
right.
anyhow.
I mean, the bumblebees we have are sort of very sort of circular almost because
Oh,
they're very, very fluffy.
uh,
And
they,
they're about some of them are about just over an inch long.
and what color are they?
Well, it's the black. So some of them, the biggest ones are black with orange with black, or yellow with black stripes,
Okay,
or black with yellow stripes. You know.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. These are pretty much straight up black.
All
But
right. Okay.
they're I just love watching. We had to go buy worms for our gardens, of course,
All right. Oh.
and I
Yeah.
know, but we bought them, and they're in the garden beds, and I've been in, I don't know, 6 or 7 months, and they are just thriving. And
Brilliant. That's great. You know.
even when a bed is fallow, you have to keep watering it
Yeah.
for the
Yeah. To keep
worms.
the. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was all new adventure of learning. It's things we don't have here that I had my whole life. I mean, you want to go fishing, you go out the night
Worms.
before and you water the ground, and at sunrise you go and pick your worms and you go fishing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not here.
Yeah.
Yeah. The ground is beige here for the most part.
Oh wow.
It's sun bleached, basically.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I just can't imagine living in that. Really.
Most people can't, and I would have had I not met Juanita, I'd have never gotten anywhere near here.
Hmm.
But it's she's like, where you live, there's snow, and I don't do snow. So I'm like, and then that was
Yeah.
like absolutely matter of fact, I don't do snow. Okay,
Yeah.
fine, I'll go to where you are.
Yeah. Yeah. It's trees I would miss the most, I think.
Well, let me count. 1, 2, 3. I have over 30 trees in my yard.
Oh wow.
Now,
Yeah.
none of them are big.
Yeah. Yeah.
And most of them have been planted in the last 6 or 7 years. A couple exceptions. There's a Texas ebony out there. It's every bit of 30 foot tall.
All right. Okay.
We had the most glorious tree in the front yard. It's a honey mesquite. Okay, the top of
Hmm.
this tree. Our property is about 80 foot wide.
Right.
It
Okay.
extended 5 foot into each of the other properties.
Wow.
It was
Wow.
glorious. It was,
Right.
and it's not a deep shade, it's a desert tree, so it's kind of filtered shade.
Yeah.
And we had a wind burst. I got up one day and I'm getting ready to go do something, and I look out and half of the tree is covering the road.
Oh,
And I'm
that's a
like,
shame.
I know what I'm doing today.
Hmm.
And then, between wind shears and lightning strikes, it took it down. We had to have it
Oh, yeah.
cut out, and now we're starting all over again. We've got
Hmm.
orange trees and mandarins and
Yeah. Yeah. I
uh
suppose you've got that. You've always got those options, the fruit trees, haven't you?
yeah, the
You know.
citrus does well.
Yeah.
Arizona is number 3 in our country for citrus after
Yeah.
California and Florida.
Yeah. We don't do citrus here.
No.
We've got. I see that I can look outside, and I've got trees that are hundreds of years old that are sitting here. You know, and
Yeah.
but we the none of them are sort of fruiting trees. You know, I've got the best we can do is apples.
Yeah.
You know.
And we're slowly changing our yard over to fruit bearing trees.
Yeah.
If I'm going to pay to water you, you're going to give me something back.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
basically the way we're looking at it.
Yeah.
So we've got the bunch of citrus, and I'm trying to remember what we're getting rid of the eucalyptus. Those things are just. We've come to find out that the eucalyptus trees that we have are allelopathic. they will kill anything that tries to live close to them.
Yeah, they will.
And I'm like, we just found this out about maybe
Mhm.
4 years ago, 3, and we're like,
Yeah,
y'all got to go, man, because we
yeah.
want to grow other stuff.
Well, walnut trees are the same.
Yeah.
Walnut trees. That was the first. They produce a chemical called juglon, and that was one of the first herbicides that was ever
Oh, really?
they made it. Yeah, from the walnut tree because of juglon. And because nothing grew underneath the walnut tree, that's where the Italian witches used to meet under walnut trees.
Okay.
Yeah, because there was no foliage. It was like
Uh-huh.
clear thing.
You got a nice
But
clear
yeah,
space. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, that was the first sort of one that first herbicide that they ever used was juglon, which came from the walnut trees.
Well, at least it was mostly natural, not like some of this
Mm.
crap out there now.
Yeah, I mean that's well, you had two. There was the first pesticide that came out was um what's the name of the pyrethrin?
Okay.
Yeah, and that was from the geranium plant.
Oh,
Yeah, so when I was a kid, all the grannies and all the mums used to have geraniums on the windowsills.
right.
Yeah, and I'd sort of worked out sort of later on it was to stop the insects coming in because the actual smell there's quite a distinctive smell. I don't know if
Uh-huh.
you know
I
geranium
do. Yeah.
plants at all. Yeah, that distinctive smell, insects don't like it because it'll poison them.
Oh, wow.
So when they had the windows open in the summer, the geraniums would be in front of the window.
Uh-huh.
You had to put the insects on.
Yeah. We don't open our windows in the summer.
No, no.
No. And for all of our gardening, we are completely organic.
Good, good, yeah, yeah.
No artificial fertilizer,
Well, I
no.
don't think there's any need for it. I really don't, I mean, it's
If you plant right,
yeah. I
and
mean,
there,
my dad was a gardener,
Mhm.
and I mean, going back to sort of the 70s, he was. I mean, everyone in the village at the time that I grew up in, everyone grew their own fruit and veg.
Yeah.
Well, not so much fruit, but vegetables. And so they were planting potatoes, peas, carrots,
Uh-huh.
all this, and it was rows after rows, and no one was using chemicals. There was all these natural ways to do it,
Right.
and it was what you planted next to each other, how you
Uh-huh.
planted them. It was all sort of, put your onions in with your with the lettuces because the smell of the onions will keep the
Yeah.
butterflies away and stuff.
And people are relearning all of that.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, you know,
yeah.
uh, and my Juanita is very much into permaculture, natural gardening.
Mm-hmm.
But we're finding that all of the old wives' tales and all the ancient ways of doing things, they're finding the science, and it's real. All of this companion planting this to keep
Yeah.
an insect. It's all real and it all
Well,
works. And we'd forgotten because we had
yeah,
chemicals.
yeah, yeah. Well, I was out I remembered something because I was out in the woods yesterday and I was throwing a stick for the dog and I put my hand down and got stung by nettle on the
Uh-huh.
hand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. When I was a kid, it was quite natural. You got stung by nettles and you found a dock leaf.
Okay.
Yeah. And you scrunched the dock leaf up and got the juice out the dock leaf.
Okay.
And that's what you used on the sting. Yeah.
Okay.
And it works. Yeah, and
Yeah.
someone did this research years ago. Oh, there's nothing in the dock leaf that will stop the sting of a nettle, and it's like, well,
Sure.
bollocks.
Okay. Yeah,
Sorry,
exactly. Yeah.
just go get stung by a nettle and find a dock leaf, and you use the dock leaf on it because it works. I don't care if they haven't got the reason for it working.
Right.
The fact is,
It
it
works.
works. Yeah.
Well, it's like, we grow a lot of aloes. I don't have my cannula on today, but I had my cannula on and I found an old lighter on my desk and I grabbed it and I flicked it and my face exploded.
Oh
There
no.
was a leak in the oxygen. Okay. So I had
Oh wow.
severe burns on this side of my face. So I go out and we get aloe from our front yard,
Yeah.
split it down, rub it all over that. And not only does it help it heal, but the pain goes away now.
Yeah.
Right now, it stopped burning
Yeah.
as soon as that.
Yeah.
And, and I mean, it's, we started 10 trees yesterday. Okay. But the juice inside the aloe is a natural rooting hormone.
Yes, I knew that actually. I'd seen it on, well, how I know that is because I've seen it on a YouTube video.
So
People using it, yeah.
you cut chunks. The tree's called a moringa, and it's one of those super health food thingies, and it's actually quite tasty. But you have to cut it down, and you cut a chunk that's 3/4 of an inch to an inch, a branch, and you stick it in the ground, and 6 out of 10 will grow.
Yeah.
Now, if you cut an aloe leaf and rub it on there before you put it in the ground, and we bury the aloe leaf with it, you're going to get up to maybe 8 out of 10.
All right. Okay. Okay.
And,
Yeah.
I mean, what was somebody said at one point in time, for every human ill, there's a plant.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
I, with my lung problems, I use, a plant that is only recently legal here. I don't know. Is marijuana legal over there?
No. No,
Wow.
it's sort of decriminalized, so it's not unless you've got a massive stash of it or you're growing massive
Right.
amounts of it. The police are not going to bother,
Okay.
pressing charge. So
Right.
it's what they call decriminalized. It's not
Right.
actually legal
Legal, but it's not
because
illegal either.
they
Yeah. Yeah.
they still want to be able to bust the big
Okay.
suppliers, the
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
sort of growers and suppliers. So that's why it's still illegal. But for all intents and purposes, I mean, you see people smoking it out in the open and everything now. So it's not,
It's
and the actual the CBD oils,
yeah.
they're all legal.
Yeah.
They're all sort of above board now as well. Sort of.
We've got, I think, 23, 24 states where it's completely legal, and another 4 or 5 where you need a medical license. But with my lung issues, nothing helps my lungs relax and breathe better than
Yeah,
some. And I use
yeah,
I make a tincture. Well, Juanita makes a tincture
yeah.
because the
I
smoke
think
is bad for me.
I remember one of the earliest asthmatic. They used to make when you must be going back to the 1920s, 20s, 30s, when they didn't know how really to treat asthma, and so they made asthmatic cigarettes.
Okay.
Yeah, and in the asthmatic, one of the main ingredients in the asthmatic cigarettes was datura.
Oh, wow.
So because it worked as a relaxant on the
Yeah.
lining of the lungs. But yeah, I mean they wouldn't get away with that now.
No. No, oh
No.
hell no. But I mean, my doctor knows, and he's like, does it help? Yeah. Are you smoking it? No. Okay, fine.
Yeah,
And,
yeah, yeah.
you make a cottage tincture,
Yeah,
get
I mean
yourself a
there's so
quart
many,
jar, and
but
yeah.
I know so many people that are using it for different medical issues, and I think the research in it should be extended and looked at. I mean, I think they're only touching on the
They are.
if you think about opiate, they took one, the opium poppy, yeah, and you think how many drugs have been derived from that single opioid.
Oh yeah.
And to treat different things. Now, if
Mhm.
they did the same with marijuana, how many compounds can they get out of that plant that are going to do different ailments?
And I think the
Yeah,
reason why it's not happening is the age old who profits.
exactly. It's the same. It's the same here. This research now, because um, the government here is under pressure because in about 2015 they made psilocybin mushrooms illegal.
Oh, okay.
They made them a class 1 drug, a class A drug.
Uh-huh.
So it was in the same boat as heroin,
Yeah.
yeah, which was ridiculous. But now the research, and they're showing that the benefits on mental health.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah, and so I mean, it was only about 3 weeks ago now that the British government, had been pressurized to sort of lift the ban on them, so
Uh-huh.
that they can do sort of trials on the benefits of them, and research the actual, because the actual trials they've actually done so far, they're getting like a 9 out of 10 success rate with
Yes.
treating long-term depression, which is
Depression,
phenomenal.
PTSD,
Yeah,
all of
yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. You know, because basically what it's doing is making people face up to what rather than sort of hold these things inside them,
Yeah.
that yourself. It brings them to the fore. It brings them and
Right.
shows that person them.
And then you got
So,
to
and
deal with
once
them.
it's there, they have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's no hiding from
exactly.
it anymore.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Let's
And
see.
so, and I think, if you think about that, how many other sort of species of plant out there that have never have plants, mushrooms, that have just been ignored, because they've only ever,
There's no
thought, oh,
profit in
right,
it. If
yeah,
you can grow
yeah,
it in your
because
backyard, there's no profit in it.
yeah, because the other one they used to talk about was mistletoe as an anti-cancer drug.
I never heard that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that was research years ago, but that was another one. The funding was just pulled on it.
Yeah.
You know.
Probably because it was going to work.
Yeah, yeah, probably.
See,
Yeah.
marijuana is still on a federal level a class 1 drug here. It's marijuana is lumped with heroin on
I
a
think
federal level.
I mean, that is ridiculous. I
It
mean,
is. Yeah, I agree. I
you
agree. And
know,
I
and
smoke.
if anyone ever says to me, "Oh, right, it's a gateway drug," I say, "Oh, don't,
Yeah.
no.
No.
If people want extreme, they'll go extreme. There's no
Yes.
such thing as a gateway. Anything's a gateway drug if you're that type of person. You know,
Alcohol.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, see, the two most
And
dangerous drugs.
alcohol is in my alcohol and nicotine are the two.
Exactly, right?
Yeah,
Exactly where I was going. The two most
yeah,
dangerous drugs, because you can go to damn near any store and
yeah,
get both.
yeah, yeah. And nicotine probably the most addictive thing that
Trust
you've
me,
ever come across.
I am down to zero nicotine on my e-cigarette.
Right. Yeah.
But I smoked for far too long. But once
Yeah, I
these
did.
lungs went to shit, I had to stop.
Yeah. Well, I gave up 15, 16 years ago now, you know, and I'd smoked since I was about 11,
Okay. I
but
was about 20.
yeah, and it was like, and they sort of had what it coincided about the same time they were having the smoking ban in the pubs, in the bars.
Uh-huh.
They sort of banned smoking in the bar, and I thought, well, that's the time to give up. If they're doing it then, I'll just coincide giving up with
Yeah.
the sort of ban in the pubs, because I was damned if I was going to stand outside a pub in the when it's chucking it with rain, trying to smoke, trying to smoke a soggy roll up.
Yeah, it's been illegal inside any public building here for quite some time. In fact, you're not
Yeah,
even allowed to smoke within 20 foot of door.
Yeah, that's what it's like here now. I'm in hospitals and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, you have to be totally away from the building. We even I work for the local authority, and all the buildings there are no smoking. So you know, but I mean, tell truth, once I decided to give up smoking, I didn't actually find it that hard to do.
Oh
I
no,
think
see,
that
I
there was,
did.
yeah,
Yeah.
I,
But
I, what I did, I kept tobacco so I could smell it.
oh, okay.
Yeah, because I've always liked the smell of tobacco, so I just kept it, and I just didn't, and I just did everything exactly the same as I would have done if I'd have been smoking, except I didn't. I mean, so I used to in the mornings I'd sort of have a cup of coffee, go outside, sit
Uh-huh.
and drink the coffee and have a cigarette. So I'd just do that without the cigarette.
Hmm.
Yeah, and that's how I sort of did it, eventually, like sort of. But
See,
I just did the cold turkey one. And I couldn't smoke now if you paid me. The smell of it, the smell of it is just
yeah.
turn. If I'm walking down the street and someone's smoking in the street, and it blows in my direction, it makes me gag now.
See, I quit drinking. The pre-story to all of that was the 3 years before I quit drinking. I did not have a sober moment.
All right, okay,
I was, I mean, I got up, I drank, I went to work, I came home, I drank, I went to bed, and it repeated.
yeah,
But I quit nothing. It was nothing. After
mhm,
drinking all day, every day for years, I stopped and I haven't
yeah,
gone back. I haven't, but nicotine, nicotine was a son of a bitch. I had a
yeah,
hard
yeah.
time.
It is, and I think it's. I did this meditation thing. I'll tell you my trick for doing it.
Okay.
I imagined, right, one of the ugliest creatures I don't know if you're familiar with a lamprey, what a lamprey looks like.
Not particularly, no. I've
It's
heard the
like,
name.
looks like an eel,
Okay.
yeah, and they latch onto they're blood suckers. They suck onto
Okay.
other sort of fish like, but their mouth, they've got a circular mouth, yeah,
Okay.
and teeth around in a circle on this
Oh,
mouth.
okay.
Yeah, so they're quite nasty looking things. They're quite
Yeah.
and they're not pretty. They look like some alien beastie. Yeah. So I remember I never liked the look of them. I remember seeing one when I was a kid and thought, oh, I really, it's one of those things. I thought, yuck, I don't like that. Don't like the
Mhm.
look of it. So I imagined one in my lungs.
Okay.
Yeah, and every time I had a cigarette, I was feeding it.
Ah,
Right, and so so when I was quitting, every time I sort of wanted a cigarette and I had the craving, I imagined it wasn't me craving the nicotine. It was this lamprey thing
okay.
that wanted feeding because the only way it could survive was by feeding it nicotine.
Okay.
So that's the visualization I used. And every time I didn't feed it, it was shrinking
Uh-huh.
and getting weaker, you know? So like over a couple of months, it got weaker and weaker and weaker until I didn't feel its cravings anymore, and so that was it. That was it. Finished. That was it. Dead. Yeah. So that's the actual visualization I used.
Mm. I fought with it. We went to e-cigarettes early on, and that got me off of actual, tobacco.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and an e-cigarette it's a lot more bothered, generally speaking, than opening a pack and lighting one. I mean,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
got to change the batteries and maintain it and all this other stuff. But that really helped me a lot. And I
Yeah.
just
I
reduced
yeah.
the
I think
nicotine level in the juice till I got down to zero.
yeah. Yeah. That's my friend Ralph did the same thing, but I just gave up before e-cigarettes sort of kicked off as a thing over here.
Uh-huh.
I sort of so that was I think that would have been an option, but no. But thinking about it, I'm glad I did. I think it suited me the way I did it. Yeah.
Right.
And I remember my mum giving up smoking, and she bought a packet of 10 cigarettes,
Okay.
and she put them on the mantelpiece above the fire
Okay.
and just left them there and just stared at them. I mean,
Oh,
yeah, because rather than, because her theory was, well, if I want a cigarette, they're there for me. I don't have to go anywhere to buy them. I've got them there.
okay.
So it wasn't the, and I think that's a mistake a lot of people make is to chuck all the paraphernalia away,
Uh-huh.
and try and sort of hide it and sort of deny it rather than sort of facing it. Yeah, because I used to get the tobacco out my pocket, and I'd be just, yeah, because I really like the smell of tobacco. Yeah,
it's
I mean,
until it's
when it's,
burning, it smells
and
wonderful.
yeah, it does, and I used to smell it and then just sort of put it, and you know, um, and I didn't chuck it. I kept my lighter. I had a flippy, like a
Yeah.
Zippo lighter, and I
Uh-huh.
kept that. Used to fiddle with that quite a bit. Yeah. So yeah, so I think but I think it's like anything, isn't it? It's like, you hit something. I think that's what people need to learn is to hit it full on, hit it face on,
Uh-huh.
rather than to put it to one side and try to ignore it. Because I think the worst thing you can ever do is it's like an earworm, isn't it?
It's
In a
always, yeah,
song in your
always
head.
talking to you, always saying,
Yeah.
yeah,
So ignoring it, I mean, the best way to get rid of an earworm is to put other music in
yeah,
its
exactly
place,
right. Replace it with something.
Yeah, and I think that's what you have to do, but you can't just ignore it and hope it'll go away, I mean, that's the wrong attitude, I think.
And the reason I believed that the alcohol was so easy for me, when I checked myself in for 4 days just to
Right.
get the full detox.
Yeah.
Okay, and then because I checked myself in, I had to pass, test to check out, 6 months with a counselor. Okay, fine. So the first words out of her mouth is, "Hi, my name is Hope. We're going to get you through your relapse and on with your life." And I'm like, "I'm not going to have one." She says, "Everybody has one. We'll get you through yours." And I said, "I'm not going to have one." So after like the first month and a half, she's like, "You're not going to have a relapse." I'm like, "Told you that day one. I'm done." She's like,
Yeah.
"What happened?" I'm like, "I have my brain back. I
Yeah.
can think clearly."
Mm. Yeah.
And, and it's,
I
no,
think sometimes it's like, well, actually going back there, it's not worth the hassle. you know, it's hard work. It's hard work being a heavy drinker.
yeah. Oh, yeah. And
It's
it's a
much
trifle
easier.
expensive.
Yeah, and it's much easier not to be. You
Yeah.
know.
All of a sudden, all this extra money. I'm like, wow, was I drinking that? Yes, you were that much.
Yeah, I said, yeah. Did you start buying yourself a present once a month?
Yeah.
That's what I did. I
Yeah.
did, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
just a little something once a month, and said, right, well, I'll have this, that,
Congratulations, man. Here
and
you
that. Yeah,
go.
I mean, that's like 5 beers. I'll have that. I'll have that from the charity shop. That's five
Yeah.
beers worth. Uh,
Yeah. It's really interesting how people handle problems and how people run from them. Um, but
yeah. Well, it's like going back to addiction, and I think I look at. I mean, there's a problem. In Scotland has got a problem with addiction. Mainly heroin. But I always say, like, there's always a core. There's always something. There's always something that's in that person. It's never a matter of they sort of drift into it. There's always a core problem.
uh-huh.
And I truly believe that. That if we could sort of find a way to get these people to face up to whatever problem it is that they're trying to escape from, you'd have a lot more. Rather than sort of trying to treat the symptoms of something else.
Well, I
You
know
know,
exactly what drove me into the bottle. I won't give you her name. It was a long time ago, and I was absolutely madly in love, and there was nothing in return.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I just
That'll
I
do it.
drank my pain away, and it became
Yeah.
habitual.
Yeah.
And one day it was really weird that the day I stopped, um, I had neglected to get a bottle on my way home from work. And I lived in a very unsafe neighborhood. And I knew that if I went to the store to get a bottle, the odds of me coming back in one piece were very, very slim. And I heard this voice, and it said, "Sit your ass down. You're not going anywhere. If you leave, you're gonna die." And I'm like, okay. So I sat down, real rough night detoxing. Checked myself in the morning, did my 4 days there, never looked back.
Yep.
Does it still call me every once in a while? Of course it does. Once in a
Yeah.
while, when you're really angry or really down or really stressed, yeah, I don't answer. I don't
Well,
have.
if it's been a coping mechanism for such, for you've used it as a coping mechanism in the past. I mean, it's quite, you occasionally when you're not
Yeah,
on form, it's going to raise its head.
yep,
You can expect that, but
yep,
I mean, it's acting on it. That's the,
right, exactly.
it can say, yeah, here I am, and you can say, yeah, I can see you now.
Yeah,
Off
yeah.
with you.
Stay over there. I don't need you. And
Yeah.
it's I say 30, 33, 34 years ago. I was like 31
Wow.
when I
Okay.
quit.
Yeah.
But and it's I'm rather proud of it. I mean,
Yeah. Well, that's actually 31, 30. That's quite young to be hitting the bottle that heavy as well,
yeah, I was, and I had minimal liver damage. I guess I lucked out.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
but
Of course, it's one thing that'll, most of your liver will regenerate anyway, but you know,
so yeah, that's good times, man. Good times.
yeah,
Ouch. Okay. Well, sir, I am going to need to get to my oxygen.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
just that time. It is
That went
getting
really quickly. That was,
it's
yeah.
what is it, about 9 o'clock there?
No, 10 now.
10 now? Well,
Yeah,
and by 10 o'clock my time, I will be asleep because
yeah,
I'm up at 5 in the morning.
yeah. Well, I'm up for the dogs, so it's a
Yeah,
please.
yeah. So
I'll be going to bed about half an hour or so.
it's been a pleasure as
Yeah,
always. We should do this
yeah,
again.
yeah,
And well, good night.
yeah. And what time is it there over there? It's just you're into
Two
your
o'clock in the
afternoon.
afternoon. Yep.
Yeah. Well, have a good rest of the. Hope the rest of the day treats you well then.
Thank you, sir.
Okay then.
All right. Bye bye.
All right. Take care.